I want to bring up Bernardo Silva because we were talking off air about his battle with Alphonso Davies. I'm fascinated by Bernardo because in recent games, a bunch of games where, you know, I don't want to say he wasn't good or he was slightly marginal to City in the recent run of success relative to, you know, Riyad Mahrez was starting getting a lot of playing time. Haaland was scoring. Grealish was on fire. And then, you know, it's a kind of like a cometh the hour situation. He shows he can do the job wide. De Bruyne comes off and he does the job central. I mean, I'm kind of out of superlatives. This guy's really, really smart.
It's incredible. I think it's incredible. And I've got a soft spot because obviously I saw him in France and he arrived completely unknown from a Benfica B team kind of thing. And was amazing. And then I think had been quite a lot of time amazing with City too. In this game, you start him because he's a pressing machine and and it's not just the pressing because he runs and runs and runs forever. I get that. There's a lot of players who can run, who can't press. But he's so intelligent in the way he presses, so he could cut the angle of the pass from De Ligt to Kimmich or from De Ligt to Goretzka, for example, and then come and cover again Alphonso Davies if De Ligt has found Alphonso Davies on the side. And I just think when you have a player like that, and Pep said it after the game, he said, I've coached so many great players in Barcelona, in Munich, in Manchester, all of that, but he's one of, if not the most intelligent that I've ever coached, because I think he's like a sponge. You say something and he gets it and he does it straight away. And I can't believe that at some point they wanted to sell him. I really can't. I mean, I know they wanted to sell him because he wanted to go. I get that. But still, you could have said, listen, you might want to go, but we can't sell you. You're too good. But just before you go, 18. Someone retweeted a tweet that I tweeted 18 months ago after City destroyed United at Old Trafford 2-0 in the Premier League and won 2-0. And Bernardo that day, and I was at the game, played literally as a false 9, a false 8, a false 6, a false 10. It was incredible. It was an education to watch him and to see him play with that kind of football IQ and intelligence. And on Tuesday night, it was a very different role and position that he had, and pretty much just had one on that right wing. But it was, again, just such a pleasure to watch him play like that and just being so good overall without the ball, with the ball, when City had the ball, when Bayern had the ball. Just, it's an amazing player, really.
We talk about sort of the ingredients that go into a footballer. And I've made this point before. He's obviously, he's a very, very technically gifted player as well. And he's developed a lot of stamina. But what you said before about his movement and his pressing, that's up here. That's in his brain. That makes it more efficient. Because one thing Bernardo isn't is he's not a phenomenal athlete.
No, definitely
If you were to go, and obviously these are all phenomenal athletes. You're like, oh, Gab, he's a better athlete than you are.
He can run, physically.
But if you were to go and rank City's athletes, I mean, he would probably beat Scott Carson in physical tests, I would assume, all round, right? But other than that...
Yeah, he's not Kyle Walker.
No, he's not any of these guys. He's not De Bruyne even. De Bruyne has a level of acceleration which Bernardo Silva doesn't have.
True.
But he can press so well because he has stamina and because he's efficient with his timing of his movements. Yeah. It's like you said, it's a pressing machine, and
incredible.
It's also, I think part of the reason we didn't see him as much during City's run in the Premier League is because teams know that City are going to press, and so they're not going to, smaller Premier League teams are going to be more direct and maybe not play out from the back the way Bayern are, and so you don't need him. And so maybe at that point, Mahrez and Grealish out wide are a better fit, right?
Yeah, and to be fair, on Tuesday when I saw the lineup, I did wonder if Pep kept him fresh on purpose for Tuesday's game, saying like, listen, I don't want you to lose any energy playing against Southampton and all those dudes. Just stay fresh and ready for Tuesday night, and then
I want to make a point about Alphonso Davies in this game because I thought he really, really struggled. Now, obviously, he is an attacking. He's a recycled winger. He's a wing back. When Bayern had their sort of back 3.5 under Nagelsmann, I thought that was a way to make it work. I wonder a little bit in a game like this whether it's actually really difficult for him to make that adjustment.
Yeah, and the press. I really think that maybe not so much at the beginning, but again, we go later on in the game when Pep twisted the way City were pressing. It was just too... Can you imagine when you're someone who just wants to go forward? This is the idea, is to go forward as soon as you have the ball, pretty much. And then every time this little Portuguese dude is in your face pretty much all the time, and you can't shake him because he's always there. And the only time really is on that Sunday chance at the start of the second half, where they beat the press and the City press was not just in place then because so early in the second half. But apart from that, it must be really frustrating for Davies, but for anybody else, when City presses you so high, so well. Bernardo is there all the time. You can't, even if you try to dribble past him, then he comes back, or then you have, Stones there or Akanji there, and that's
the thing. To get out of those situations, and it's not a knock on Davies, but he can rely on running with the ball, but the minute you do that, there's always you always get doubled up. There's always the other man coming, and Bernardo Silva comes back.
And
then it's a 2-on-1.
There's a couple of incidents in the first half where he could put a good cross in, and he managed to get a bit of ground, and then his end product was not good enough either. So it was a difficult night.
Final point, because otherwise we'll get in trouble. And Erling Haaland.
We have to.
Number 45.
45 in 39 games. There's what, another 15 to come or something like
Cristiano and Messi got like 60 and like.
But if he can get to 60. He can get to 60. There's 15 games left. He can score another 15.
It's pretty remarkable what we're seeing, and we've talked about him.
Yeah,
we've talked about him endlessly. I think
the best is probably the cross for Bernardo. Of all his game, he misses that big chance. He scores an easy goal for him. But he's in the right position. Upamecano, again, nightmare night, loses him. Okay. But the cross for Bernardo, if that's exactly what he wanted to do, and I don't know, but it looks like he meant it, and that way, it's an incredible.
You think he might have mishit it?
I don't know. I was just surprised by the quality of the cross. Like, the cross is just perfect.
I
in
like
difficult conditions with the rain and the wind and everything.
I like the fact that he saw the cross.
Yeah, me too.
Because
I was like, I
as a
expected him
center
to
forward,
shoot.
that's not going to be your first instinct, right?
No.
I would have thought, if you shoot or you don't have the angle, I thought you would have taken inside, waited for a runner, maybe played into pass because I think that there was another runner coming more centrally as well. You do something like that, right? You try to win a penalty. But instead, immediately his brain scans, sees, and he pulls it off.
Unbelievable. I think the whole Haaland family was there. I bumped into Maxwell and Rafaela Pimenta as well at the game. So clearly it was a big night for the whole Haaland clan, and got an assist like that in a game like this. And, we said before, he scored 5 and 7 against Bayern before that. Never won, always lost with Dortmund. I mean, this time he scored, assisted, won. Pretty impressive.
Big time player.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.